spring is in the air, daylight savings has started, so we're getting more days of sunlight. Perhaps a little love is also in the air, and spring 2020 anime is right around the corner, so we're back with another episode. Spring animes are starting, I believe, like next week, so I've got a brand new list of new animes for you to watch this coming spring. So, let's check it out! First on the list is a bit of an oldie, but it's got a second season returning, finally, as of this year. First season dropped in 2011, and the name of the show is called Tiger Bunny. Tiger Bunny is set around two different heroes, one that's a veteran hero and one that is kind of a new and upcoming hero. And the whole premise or structure of the show is that they live in like a futuristic society where there are a bunch of heroes, I guess, to like help society. And these heroes, I guess the hero system, model system, is structured in a way that they require promotion or sponsorships to kind of be successful heroes, and they're often rated by popularity. The veteran hero in the story so happens to be a bit grouchy and doesn't get along with other heroes, and therefore his popularity is tanking. In order for him to succeed as a hero, he needs to have great popularity, good sponsors, and to be well liked by the community as a whole. In order to boost his ratings, the superhero council or governing body decides to pair him up with this new hero. In turn, they actually struggle quite a bit to get along while trying to solve mysteries and crimes, and be hero-like. So if you haven't seen Tiger Bunny yet, check out season 1, as it's making a return in season 2. After season 1, you'll kind of get a sense as to where season 2 may be going, and watching the trailer of season 2, it looks like Tiger Bunny is going to introduce a new subset of heroes that they're going to be essentially working with. It's kind of got some like My Hero Academia vibes, except they're way older adults, versus My Hero Academia is mostly revolved around super-powered children. Another show returning for its third season is Kaguya-sama Love is War. Kaguya-sama Love is War is, I want to say hands down, one of the funniest romance comedies I have ever seen to date. There is nothing funnier in this world because, for me personally, if I can watch an anime probably like 3 or 4 times and rewatch it with other people and still laugh at the same cues and the same content over and over, I don't know if that makes me like a psychopath or a sociopath or something of that nature, but I quantify that as being an amazing anime. So yes, I've seen it over and over again. I think that just goes to show how great it is. But Kaguya-sama Love is War is about a really rich girl, and rather actually a lot of really rich kids that go to this really rich school. And this rich girl, Kaguya, is kind of like a cold-shouldered type of woman. She gets a nickname that's kind of called like the Ice Princess. And the whole idea of the show is to kind of like tote that love is kind of warfare, and she kind of like likes this other guy who's the president of the student council, and she like wants to get him to convince love to her. She refuses to admit that she possibly likes him or even acknowledge herself that she likes him, while she is essentially plotting constantly to figure out ways as to how she can draw out a confession from him. He is likewise doing the same thing. So it's a tit-for-tat sort of situation where every single episode or mini episode within an episode ends with a victor, a loser, or a tie. But now that you understand the premise of the show, Kaguya-sama is now going on its 3rd season. And what's great about it also is that now that Crunchyroll and Funimation have merged platforms, you can find everything subbed and dubbed for season 1 and 2 on Crunchyroll now. And season 3 will launch on Crunchyroll, whereas previously, Kaguya-sama used to be exclusive to Funimation. Speaking of comedies though, there's another comedy coming to Netflix this year, and it has one of my favorite Japanese voice actors, so I'm watching it not for just that alone, but also because it looks extremely funny. And it's a bit of a mouthful, so please excuse me if I mess it up. It is called Therme Rome Nove. And I've learned recently that actually this is not necessarily a brand new anime, but rather it seems like it's been done before in the past. I want to say perhaps in 2014, and I guess they've given it a revamp or a re-adaptation, and it's now launching on Netflix. The premise of it is that you've got a guy in I want to say like Roman Empire times, and he is tasked with building like baths and bathhouses by I want to say Julius Caesar. Don't quote me on that, but it's during the time of the Roman Empire. So he, I guess, slips into a bath of some sort, and then ends up like in future modern day Japan, where he actually begins to learn and study about bathhouses, which I think but I think he's drawing inspiration from to implement in Roman Empire time Italy. So what makes it so funny though is that he's a man from the past in the future, just so astonished when he lands in this bathhouse to see a bunch of naked men in this bathhouse and the culture of it. It's super hilarious. I guess it's just super hilarious. I don't know what else to say about it. So that's one on my list that I'm definitely going to be checking out. And again, the voice actor for the main character, Suda Kenjiro, is one of my favorite Japanese voice actors. His voice is super distinguishable. So I kind of want to watch it for almost just that alone. So we're going to keep this comedy train moving. Next on the list is Spy X Family, or Spy Family. I'm not sure how to exactly say this because they've kind of got the X in the middle. But yeah, Spy X Family is next on the list. I have a few friends who actually read the manga. I have not personally read the manga, and they say that they're super excited for the anime. So for one of those reasons, it's definitely high on my list to watch this spring. Spy X Family is kind of in the name, if you can kind of figure it out. It's about spies and their family, except the dad of this family starts off as a single man, and he is tasked to actually marry someone and have a child. Not necessarily have a child, but adopt a child as his first mission, kind of so that he has a cover, so that he can continue his spy operations. Thinking he's marrying and adopting very normal people, I don't know if he finds out, but it goes on to show that as he's trying to commit to his spy activities, his now wife and child are actually a handful. Turns out that his wife is actually an assassin, and his child is a telepath, can read minds. And it's just really funny because it's obviously this daunting task where he has to act like a father to keep his cover as a spy, and all of these other people kind of have their own things going on with a telepath and an assassin. So it ends up being a really funny family fake dynamic. That's a lot of F's there, but it's a very funny fake family dynamic that you kind of watch expand or re-explore this weird ass dynamic as each of them try to like continue their jobs. I imagine that gets very tricky and difficult, hence a lot of humor, but also you've got the element of action since you've got a whole assassin and spy as the main characters of the show. The next one we've got is a movie. I don't talk about movies enough, and I'm trying to do a better job at that. This next movie is called Bubble. Bubble is coming out on Netflix. It seems like an original, and usually I feel like that's the case for most anime movies. Most anime movies tend to be like original content that's not really derived from like a light novel or a manga, but again, don't quote me on that. It's the impression that I'm getting. So Bubble is essentially, how do I explain this? It's like Japan, but Japan for some reason has been like isolated from the world. It's got like some weird like geographical shift going on where there's bubbles kind of all over the place, and the gravitational pull is broken. Like the gravity system in Tokyo is broken, where you've got things floating all over the place, and essentially the cast of characters, which makes the animation look really cool and very interesting, kind of like treats this gravitational disaster Tokyo land as a parkour playground. So there's a lot of interesting like parkour elements within this. but it seems like one of the main characters, this girl, she seems to have like these special abilities that have something to do with bubbles. Hence the title of the movie. I can't really grasp where it's going just because I've only seen like a really short trailer, but the animation looks really stellar. They've got a lot of big names attached to it. Like the character designs are from the creator or the character designer of Death Note, and then I believe either the producer or the director is from Attack on Titan, and I believe that Wit Studio is doing the like the animation. So they've got like a lot of big names and well-known names that are great and well-known for animes attached to this project, so that alone makes it really interesting. Overall, it just looks very stellar, and I'm really interested in where the story goes. Again, this is me trying to add more movies to lists so that you don't have to spend so much time watching a whole series, and it allows you to still enjoy anime in shorter time spans. Some others that are coming in the spring that are worth mentioning, but I'm still debating as to whether I'm going to check them out, is Shikimori is not just a cutie. Essentially, it's another love anime where the main character is kind of like this badass chick that I don't know, she kind of like is super cool that her boyfriend just like loves how badass she is. I don't think there's any better way of explaining it, and I guess the title is kind of self-explanatory that she's not just cute, but just goes to say that she also has other dimensions to her aside from her being beautiful and cute and pretty. You know, she's also got this really like tough girl side to her, this protective side of her boyfriend, kind of saying like, don't worry, I'll protect you, or you know, I've got your back, kind of this sort of situation. It looks really cute. I might check it out, but I'm adding it to the list if it sounds like something that's in your wheelhouse. Another one that's returning is called Science Fell in Love, so we tried to prove it, or tried to prove it. So there's already one season to it that you can find on Crunchyroll. It's coming out with a season 2. And basically it's a bunch of scientists, rather two core scientists though, that are questioning whether they're in love or not. So in order for them to prove it, they conduct a bunch of scientific experiments. If you studied the sciences of some sort where you had to produce theses and hypotheses, or like anything like in that nature, you might find a little of that side humor in this, or like relevancy in this, but it's more or less a comedic aspect of it, because you can't really prove love, or can you? Maybe, I don't know. But the show goes on to measure different aspects in which you think you would equate to being in love, like heart racing, and they do all sorts of these weird tests, like the whole like hand slamming against the wall. But essentially that kind of sums up season 1. Season 2, I think, continues to explore this love dynamic and how you can prove it and understand it, what you can quantify it. It's just downright really funny for the most part, because these scientists can't fathom that they are attracted to somebody else, and if they are, they need to prove why. Another interesting one that I'm not quite sure, because I'm not fond of the sport of golf, but I do find interesting that it is essentially a story about female golfers. I have a strong appreciation for sports anime in general. Just the whole capturing of the motion of an athlete is very fascinating and sometimes really well animated depending on the studio. This next one is called Birdie Wing Golf Girls Story, or Girls Golf Story. And it is what the title says. It's basically following a bunch of female athletes around who are golfers. Aside from that, there aren't any additional details. So a sports anime, more female-centric, in an area that's not well, I feel like, publicized or talked about or viewable on television or in media in general. So for that alone, it seems commendable just for some groundbreaking content. And very last, which I won't get into deeply, is Komisan, or Komi Can't Communicate. It's coming back with a season 2. So if you watched one of my earlier videos, I've talked about Komi Can't Communicate quite a bit. Great comedy. Check it out if you haven't already. It's coming back with a season 2, so more fun times with Komi. this list may have been lengthier than normal. I felt like there was a lot of great animes that were coming this spring, and again, it looks like they'll be starting as soon as next week, so there's a lot to look forward to. Aside from the weather, so try not to stay in too much and watch too much anime, and pick and choose what you might enjoy the most. Aside from that, this has been another episode with me, Mel. This has been Annie Mel, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a like, comment below. If you could share it or subscribe, I'd really appreciate it, and it would let me know if there are certain contents that you are enjoying more so than others. Until next time, thank you. Bye.